What is up, guys? D16 here, and welcome to a brand new video. Now, I have stated that I am making a cinematic universe for a bunch of my playthroughs. This video, I'm going to cover the complete timeline so far. Let's just get into it. First up, some canon established by official sources. In the beginning, there was nothing. But then roughly 14 billion years ago, an egg. Now this egg would eventually hatch into the god of Pokemon, Arceus. Or should I say, Arceus. Arceus created the universe, and with it, the creation trio. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Giratina was then banished to the distortion world for its violence. Billions of years passed, and life developed on Earth, including some of the first legendary Pokemon, and Mew, the ancestor of all Pokemon. Over time, the Mews evolved into many different Pokemon, many of which went extinct 65 million years ago and can now be revived as fossils. Only 200,000 years ago, modern humans began to emerge. It took tens of millennia, but eventually, civilization was started. 3,000 years ago, let's say 1000 BC, a great war engulfed the Kalos region, and many Pokemon died, including King AZ's Floette. To revive her, AZ built an ultimate weapon, which ended the war, but Floette abandoned him, and he was cursed with immortality. Chapter 1. The first modern settlement of the Hisui region, known as Jubilife Village, was founded in 1866. January 28th, 1868, a space-time rift opens above Mount Coronet. Just 4 days later, a 15-year-old boy named HD22 falls from the rift, lands just outside of Jubilife, and is found by Professor Laventon. This strange boy appears to have come from the year 2022, and he seems quite proficient in catching Pokemon, so he is allowed to be a member of the Galaxy Expedition team. And he starts his journey with a Rowlet, entrusted to him by Laventon. Over the next few weeks, he helps out the Hisuian people, assembles a team, and he quells the 5 noble Pokemon, one by one. However, after the noble Avalugg is defeated, the sky just turns red, and the rift just gets worse. And purely because of his suspicious circumstances, he was not only kicked out of the team, but exiled from the village and left to possibly die. To clear his name, he, alongside Volo, Irida, and Adaman, crafted the Red Chain, proved himself worthy to Kamado, and eventually defeated and captured Palkia without a Salamence or a Fairy type, but at the cost of the Red Chain breaking. The fragments were crafted into a special Pokeball, which was used to capture Origin Form Dialga. The rift disappeared, and HD22 was stuck in the past. Diamond Clan Warden Mai enlisted his help in investigating the new massive mass outbreak phenomenon. Over the next week, he caught more legendary Pokemon and collected 17 of the 18 plates left behind by Arceus. He met Volo on top of Mount Coronet to find the last plate. But it turns out Volo actually made a deal with Giratina to open the very rift that trapped HD22 in the 1800s. And so he had to defeat Volo the traitor, which thankfully, after admittedly a few attempts, he eventually did. After that, he finished catching all the legendaries and completed the Pokédex. This caught the attention of Arceus himself, who HD22 also had captured. After capturing God and a few differently colored Pokemon, HD22 eventually settled down with Akari. Every other main universe protagonist, except for one, is descended from these two. Only one of their children stayed in Hisui, later Sinnoh. HD22 and Akari both died in 1950. Chapter 2. In 2017, a 10-year-old boy and his mother moved from Kanto to Alola with the help of Professor Kukui. Meanwhile, at Ether Paradise, a girl by the name of Lily is running away from Ether Foundation employees and is cornered by two strange-looking people in weird outfits. They appear to have come from space or something. And just when Lily thought she was a goner, a strange light emerged from her bag, and she was teleported away. 3 months later, the kid from earlier is enjoying his new life in Alola and decides to go out when suddenly he's attacked by a wild young goose. But that's when the starters appeared and saved his life. Kukui then decided to give him one of the starters. He chose Rowlet and went along his way. He heads to a nearby village and the accompanying trail, where he meets a strange girl who introduces herself as Lily. Lily's Pokemon Nebby is on the bridge, being attacked by Wild Spearow. Despite how weird it looks, the boy decides to step in and help it out. And it blows up the bridge. And they're both about to die when all of a sudden, Tapu Koko flies in and saves both of their lives. The Melee guardian deity also left behind a sparkling stone that was taken in by Hala, the local kahuna. The next day, the boy returns to Iki Town for the festival and receives a Z-Power Ring. He gets a Rotom Pokedex from Kukui and sets out on a journey. He accesses the multiverse to get the other two starters, and he journeys across Alola, completing the island trials, testing his strength against the kahunas, even occasionally fighting Team Skull, and even his rivals, including this emo kid named Gladion, and his type Null, which is stolen from the Aether Foundation, who the boy meets halfway through his journey. He learns about Necrozma, Ultra Space and the Ultra Wormholes, and the Ultra Beasts, which are Pokemon-like beings from another dimension. After that, Our hero's journey gets back on track on Ula Ula Island. And eventually he's called back to Ether Paradise. It turns out the Ether Foundation kidnapped Lily and Nebby and are trying to use them to open up an ultra wormhole. It also turns out that President Lusamine is Lily and Gladion's mother. Anyway, the creation of the ultra wormhole forces Nebby to evolve into Cosmoem. I'd like to see him get out of the bag now. Our young hero, along with Lily, continue on the adventure to the altar of the sun in order to evolve Nebby into Solgaleo. Unfortunately, Necrozma fused with Nebby, and it had to be defeated. After that, it retreated to Ultra Megalopolis, the home of the Ultra Recon Squad. The mysterious group of interest decided to let him borrow their Lunala to visit their home to take down Necrozma once and for all. When they got there, they discovered Necrozma reached its ultimate form, Ultra Necrozma. Decidueye not only survived, but defeated Ultra Necrozma in only 3 moves. And just like that, the light was saved. Our hero went on to defeat the final kahuna, and he made it to Mount Lanakila, the Pokemon League. His team took down all of the Elite Four, one by one. It eventually came down to him and Hao for the spot of Alola's first champion. Both trainers put in a valiant effort, but Hao eventually lost, and a new champion was crowned. Now that that was done, he was tasked with tracking down Blacephalon, and he ultimately succeeded and discovered a dark presence, Team Rainbow Rocket, which after much struggle, he eventually defeated. And as punishment for his involvement, Faba was demoted. He then became a full-time shiny hunter. Chapter 3. In 2019, a different young boy was living peacefully in the Galar region when his friend Hop invited him over to his place. Along the way, they made a quick detour to the next town over to pick up Hop's older brother, Leon. Now, Leon was the champion of the Galar region, and he will not shut up about it. The region's strongest champion is also horrible with directions. Did I mention he's the champion? Because he's the champion. So the trio make it back to the champion's house, where Leon gifts his brother and his friend one of 3 Pokemon each. Our hero picks a female Sobble, and Hop ends up with Scorbunny, and he already has a Wooloo for some reason. They then had a 2v1 battle, the first of many, in which Hop comments on his rival's knowledge of type matchups, even though this is common knowledge. After that, the 2 boys follow a wandering Wooloo into the slumbering Weald, where they encountered a strange Pokemon that was immune to all their attacks. They were rescued by Leon soon after. The next day, Hop and our stand-in for Victor set off to get endorsements for the gym challenge. After a convincing battle at Professor Magnolia's house, Leon approved the request. And then 2 wishing stars just fell out of the sky. The next day, the wishing stars have been inserted into some Dynamax bands, and so our heroes head to Motostoke by way of Wedgehurst Station. But the track was blocked by a flock of Wooloo, so they had to walk the rest of the way through the wild area. But eventually, they made it to Motostoke. At the hotel, they meet Marnie, a fellow challenger, and her stands, who call themselves Team Yell. And how could you forget the opening ceremony for the gym challenge that year? The next day, the gym challenge officially starts. So our hero travels the Galar region, assembling a team to take on all the gym leaders, while helping the professor's granddaughter, Sonia, with her research on the darkest day, which is a near apocalypse that happened in medieval times. He also meets Chairman Rose and his assistant Oleana. After our hero takes out B of the Stow-on-Side gym, he checks out the mural nearby. And then he sees this douchebag named Bede destroy the mural using Chairman Rose's Cabaraja, which reveals a statue of the 2 legendary heroes and 2 Pokemon holding a sword and a shield. Bede, of course, is disqualified for destroying a national landmark. Of course, after Opal is defeated by a few of the remaining challengers, she recruits Bede as her replacement, so it all works out for him. Except he gets abducted. Eventually, after battling the remaining gym leaders, including Marnie's older brother Piers, our hero, Hop, Marnie, and an unnamed 4th challenger make their way to Wyndon for the Pokemon League. The first part of the league is a tournament between the 4 remaining challengers. The first round of which was our hero versus Marnie and Hop versus that 4th trainer. The final round is our hero versus Hop, in which Hop loses. With only 1 challenger left standing, it's revealed that Macrocosmos, Chairman Rose's company, is not actually all that good. So our final 2 challengers take all their employees down, as well as their vice president, Oleana. The next day, the Pokemon League semifinals is interrupted by new gym leader Bede. After that, the 3 rounds of the tournament had our hero face off against Nessa, B, and Raihan. Even the strongest gym leader, Raihan, had lost. And then it was time to face Leon, the champion. And that's when Fit hit the shan. Chairman Rose unleashed the darkest day. It was now up to 2 10-year-old boys from Postwick to save the region. They go back to the slumbering Weald to enlist in the help of the 2 legendary wolves. Our interrupted challenger grabbed the sword and Hop grabbed the shield. The second mentioned descendant of HD22 confronted Chairman Rose and defeated him, but it was too late. Eternatus was preparing to wreak havoc, but Leon, for some reason, thought that he was meant to be the new hero and he tried to catch Eternatus, and it failed miserably. The two actual heroes then stepped up to battle Eternatus, and it looked like they were winning. But then it became the strongest Pokemon to ever exist. And it was blocking the ability to use moves. And that's when Zacian and Zamazenta just conveniently showed up. The four of them did win the battle, and our Galarian offshoot of a legendary bloodline caught Eternatus, stopping the darkest day. 3 days later, it was finally time to take down Leon. After a hard-fought battle, a new champion would be crowned. Now, you would think this would be the end of the story, but no. Because now our new champion has to deal with these two dillweeds, Swordward and Shieldbert. And now he has to put a stop to their antics. Eventually, all the Dynamax Pokemon calmed down, but now the champion and his rival have to stop Zamazenta, who's been whipped into a frenzy. And our champion ends up catching Zacian. Hop catches Zamazenta, and the two prepare for one final battle. I think you know who won. Now, you would think, surely the story pretty much ends here, but no. January 9th, 2020. Our hero goes to Wenthurst Station and finds a Galarian Slowpoke and an aspiring gym leader named Clara. This is where he finds out about the Isle of Armor, and he also catches the Slowpoke. June 17th, 2020. He traveled to the Isle of Armor with a brand new team to train in the dojo under Mustard. Once he had proven himself worthy, he received a Kubfu, who he would train in the Tower of Darkness. Mustard challenged his new student to a rematch at the top of the tower, and after winning, Kubfu finally evolved. After going on a quest with now Assistant Professor Hop, he would unlock everything he needed for Gigantamax, which he would use to defeat Mustard for the third and final time. And then for the next few months, nothing. October 22nd, 2020. The young champion, now around 11 years old, ventures into the Crown Tundra with another team. The first person he meets, or one of the first people he meets, is Chairman Rose's little brother, Peony. The two of them, and Peony's daughter, Peonia, or Nia for short, try out a Dynamax adventure. And then it's off to Freezington, the only sign of civilization in the entire Crown Tundra, where Calyrex, through Peony, asks the young man to help him restore his power. Eventually, the three of them manage to lure Glastrier, Calyrex's steed, to a castle. Calyrex would then tame the horse and immediately be captured by our young champion. Some say he went on to capture all 6 of the legendary Titans, also known as the Reggies. What is known, however, is that he captured 3 legendary birds resembling those from Kanto. He even helped Professor Sonia track down the swords of justice. No one knows exactly what happened to him since then. Stories vary wildly, ranging from retiring in Postwick, traveling the world, having to flee the region after a police investigation, and some people even believe he died. In short, none of these stories have been proven 100%, and his whereabouts are currently unknown. Chapter 4. Well, would you look at this? It's Jesus. And he's about to go on an adventure through the Kalos region to help people find God. It all starts one day over a year ago, in early August of 2021, when a fledgling wakes him up. And so Jesus leaves his home to go to the neighboring town, where he has to split 3 starters among 5 people, including himself. He picks a Froakie, names him Fry, and sets out on his journey, catching a Pidgey named Burb and a Scatterbug named Devilbug on the way to Sandalwood City for his first badge, only allowing one of the 2 they had caught to evolve, even to its final stage. Things were looking good for Jesus until Fry was killed by a Dunsparce on Route 3. But even with this loss, he was still able to defeat Viola for the first badge. He was then able to catch Gerberlife the Budu and the Quacken the Psyduck before entering Lumio City, where he met Professor Sycamore, who offered Jesus a choice between 3 starters from the Kanto region. He picked Charmander and named him Overheat. After making some pit stops at some random towns, he caught Snorlax on a bridge, and he named him Roadblock. Along the way, Jesus also meets Team Flare, the evil team of the region. And now, some roster alterations before Grant. The Quacken was killed by a wild Solrock in the Glistening Cave, where an old Amber was found that was revived into Raiden the Aerodactyl, who ended up being the Quacken's replacement. So now Burb was getting outclassed, so it had to retire, and was replaced by Mienfoo, the Mienfoo. Jesus then received Thumper the Steelix for a love disc. Mienfoo was killed by an Axew's Dragon Rage and was replaced by a Machop named Chad, who took out Grant's 2 Pokemon handily. Next step, defeating Karina for the 3rd badge. After that, Jesus was given a Mega Ring, which he got to use in a Lucario versus Lucario battle, which he won. And he even got to keep the Lucario that he used, and he named it Ryu. This Mega Lucario would, of course, replace Chad. He was given a Lapras on the way to Coumarine, which he named Nessie. He also had an Aerodactylite, allowing his Aerodactyl Raiden to Mega Evolve. He used his team to easily defeat Ramos. Jesus then fixed the power plant, and then subsequently beat Clement. He even took down some Team Flare scientists. He caught a Poliwag named Kermit outside Lavere City, Unfortunately, one of the fairy gym trainers killed Gerber Life. There were very limited viable options. Jesus was able to spread the word of Arcus to Valerie, however, with no further casualties. Same with Olympia. Things were going pretty good for Jesus, but that's when Lysander announced his evil plan to basically unalive everyone using the ultimate weapon. Unfortunately, first on his hit list was Raiden the Aerodactyl, which he killed using his Gyarados. Jesus had had enough. He forced Overheat, who had not been useful in a long time, into retirement. He had Thumper the Steelix and Kermit the now Politoed to the team, as well as reviving a second Aerodactyl named Ravager. With his newly rebuilt team, he took down Team Flare and their admins, defeated Lysander and his Mega Gyarados, captured Yveltal, and destroyed the ultimate weapon, saving the world. On the way to Snowbell City to get the last gym badge, Nessie was killed by Tierno's Roserade and replaced by Galapagos the Torkoal, who easily defeated Wulfric, getting Jesus his final badge. Jesus then defeated the Elite Four, the champion Diantha, and even the immortal King AZ. He then reunited with his long-lost Floette after 3,000 years. No one has heard from Jesus since. Chapter 5. A 10-year-old boy named D16 and his friendly rival / neighbor Barry decided to go to Lake Verity. When they were jumped by a flock of Starly, they had to use the Pokemon in the briefcase left behind by Professor Rowan to defend themselves. D16 chose Piplup, and Barry, being kinda stupid, picked Turtwig. The two of them went to Sandgem Town to return their Pokemon, but oddly enough, Professor Rowan let them keep them. And so D16 and Barry set on separate quests to build up their teams and collect all the gym badges. That might include exploring the Grand Underground. Along the way, they encountered Team Galactic. Sound familiar? D16 even manages to defeat some of the commanders. Scratch that. All of the commanders. And Cyrus. At least once each. But Team Galactic set off a bomb at Lake Valor and stole all the Lake Guardians. D16 managed to take down Saturn at Valor and Mars again at Lake Verity. And then fought this gym leader, whose name I just do not know at all. If you made it this far, can you please tell me what her name is? He then went to Lake Acuity, where he saw Barry crying because he lost to Jupiter. D16 then went to Veilstone HQ to free the Lake Guardians. He then scaled Mount Coronet to take down Team Galactic once and for all. Cyrus is still in prison. D16 even captured Dialga, saving the world, like so many of his cousins already. Next up, Sunny Shore City, to battle Volkner to cure his depression. And just like that, he now had all 8 gym badges. Right as D16 was about to challenge the league, he was challenged by Barry. Oh no! Anyway, on to the Elite Four. And he beat them all one by one before reaching the champion, Cynthia, and her infamous Garchomp, which after a few tries, he managed to defeat. And just like that, D16 became the new Sinnoh champion. On January 3rd, 2022, a 15-year-old boy by the name of HD22 fell through a rift in space-time in his hometown of Sandgem. Yes, that HD22. Meanwhile, the new champion rematched all the gym leaders and the league. And after accidentally unaliving Heatran, he challenged the league once more. He also caught a Shaman and a Darkrai. Most accounts of D16's current whereabouts state that he became a shiny hunter and is traveling the region. And that was the entire timeline of Decidueye 2016 Cinematic Universe. At least until Scarlet and Violet comes out. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell, comment below, and follow me on my socials. Link in the description. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.